I love it when I click on things and they don't do shit. Well, no, I clicked on start streaming and it didn't start. And I didn't notice until you messaged me saying, no, I'm not. I'm like, what the fuck? Going back and tightening up the green a little bit. I know I can be a little feathered on the black areas, but yeah, I don't know what happened there. It's OBS being OBS. I really don't know. I know. I live now. I'd rather be live now than dead now. Nice. I'd still choose grasses and plants more indigenous to the area. That way you won't be wasting as much water keeping like fucking Kentucky bluegrass and shit together, you know, keeping that alive. Nice. And then once everything's done, you can get that 70 Torino and start working on it again. Hey, Alex. Yep, I got 2 in camo. 1 I still need to camo up, and then hairspray for a worn out faded sand, and then I've got a 4th one on the way today. It'll be here this afternoon. And I got too many Humvees. Just cleaning up some overspray from yesterday. When I told her I liked Hummers, this isn't what I had in mind. Anyway. Ow. Wow, that one just fell flat. I just think they're a neat vehicle. I've wanted one ever since they came out in '86. Now I'm going full US on these. I might explore some of the Danish vehicles at a later time, but right now I'm starting with all the basic originals. Some prototypes. The one I've got on the way is the 1151, so it's one of the more modern versions. But it'll be a nice bookend with your bog standard 4-door canvas top 1986-87 M998. Right now I've got the 998, I've got the early, say, first Gulf War era Avenger. This one, I have found 2 pictures of a prototype with this roof, never entered service. So, there's that. Then I've got the standard M966 for the tow missile version. I don't know what I should order next. Should I? Nobody really answered yesterday. There's 3 more that I want to get. One is the Bushmaster version, which is another prototype like this one. It was basically a box-topped Humvee with a Bushmaster cannon on it. It was built like this one, but it never entered service. Then there's the ambulance kit, which did enter service. Academy makes that. And then there's one, it's another Italeri kit that didn't really go anywhere or do anything. They call it the Stinger Humvee, which is basically this Humvee with no top, with Stinger missiles on a pedestal, which wasn't a real thing. But it would allow me to do a bog standard naked Humvee with nothing in it. We got 4 people on YouTube. I know we got Alex and Aries. Who else is there on the YouTube side? Say hi. So, for the Bushmaster, and let me know if the music's too loud too. I've got a couple on eBay. Going to my watch list. Hey Haven, how you doing? What the hell? Okay, one moment. So Leo 2A7DK, if you're still there. Oh, wait. Is that you? Somebody sent me a message on YouTube asking if I went away. So is that Alex? Yeah, that's Alex. No, for some reason the stream stopped and I restarted, so I don't know what went on there. Anyway, I'm getting mixed up in my windows here. Alright, so I've got a Bushmaster on here for $43.99 free shipping. That'll have to wait till next payday, unless somebody can find one cheaper. And then I got a couple ambulances, one at $45 with $12 shipping, one at $42 with $5 shipping. Or the Special Forces Stinger Humvee at basically $39 shipped. Anyway, so let's go throw the brown on these. We'll start with the Avenger and move on to the prototype. Bring up my pictures. Alright. So I do all this by freehand as well. You could always just pick something strange and throw yourself at it. That's what I do when I'm in a pinch. When I got a case of the don't know what to do's, I'll just pick something weird. Or I'll challenge myself to something, so it's like, can I take this 70s Revell kit and build it using my current skill set and make people wonder if I bought the new Hasegawa or Fujimi or whatever version of it. And that's happened a couple times. Don't add any aftermarket, just build it really well, paint it really well, detail it, and make people guess, make them wonder. I had to call all my family in Florida too. They live on the southern half of the approach path of the hurricane that's going to hit now. It's expected to hit somewhere in Tampa and go east across the state. They'll be in the southern area, the southern tip of where it's expected to hit. Oh, they're doing fine. It's not their first rodeo. If it continues on its course, they'll get no more rain or anything than they got during Andrew back in the day. But at the same time, if it skews south at all, they could be in a real world of hurt. That's good. I'm glad she's okay and didn't have to deal with the worst of it. Aside from the lack of power and everything now. Oh, wow. Well, hurricane season has become very strange. It used to be unusual for the hurricanes to sweep around and come from the west like that. It wasn't uncommon for them to cross the state and go into the Gulf, but it was unusual for them to form in the Gulf and head west, or head east. We're going to have to go back with the green and tighten up the NATO brown areas. I forgot how contaminating this color can be. We're going to have to touch up both the green and the black colorations on this. A little too spattery. Probably got some dry paint on the tip. Well, that's because inland, they'd already had like thunderstorms preceding it. So the ground was already saturated. There was no place for the water to go. So it went everywhere else. I never heard anything about magnetic ball bearings. It was just always a normal independent leaf spring, or not leaf spring, coil spring. Coil over shock, basically. Never heard nothing about no magic magnetic bearings or nothing. Gotta remember, these things gotta be idiot-proof to be fixed in the field. By over-caffeinated teenagers. Hey Dave, how you doing? Oh, it's another Dave. Hey man, don't knock it. Rippets were... they were good when you needed them. Hi Arnie. Is it sad that I'd trust what's in a Rippet more than I'd trust what's in a Monster? I was in... I want to say 6th grade when Hugo went up the coast. I remember that. Do I have another cat behind me? Whatever cat noises that's not Arnie. Just Arnie. You gonna be good and stay there, boy? Yeah, Hugo was a weird one. It stayed on the East Coast, but it's like it hit the coast and just rode up it like a bicycle wheel, for lack of a better explanation. It didn't hit in Florida, from what I remember. It hit in the Carolinas and just rode up the coast. And for what it was, it caused an oddly large amount of damage. Yeah, same here. I was preteen as well. Just leave you there. Get the prototype out. Find the 2 pictures I have of this. Yeah, but hurricanes, like I said, they've gone weird. They used to... Who, me or Haven? I'm not. If anything, the hurricanes in the Gulf are causing a drought here. Which is typically the opposite of what they do, because they tend to bring water this way when they hit the Gulf, because they're moving up towards us, not down away from us. No, it's just a sign of the times. If anything, the hurricanes forming in the Gulf could actually be a sign of a problem with the Atlantic current shutting down, because now the warmer water is collecting there instead of being along the other side of Florida and through Africa and places like that. It's essentially not going where it needs to go. But it's doing it in ways we didn't exactly predict. Tip of the airbrush. Bumped the microphone. Is there something going on weather-wise? Yeah. But don't believe everything you read on the internet. Like, they're saying this is the first time 3 storms have ever come back to back like this in a hurricane season. No, happened in 2004. There were 4 storms that year. So, before you believe what's getting sensationalized, look at the actual history and not what the internet says, please. Yep, this is the part they couldn't figure out, the underpants gnomes. You know, because they always figured out get the underpants and then the profit, but they never figured out how to profit. You know, what to do. So this might be that step. Again, I have no idea what the pattern on this is actually supposed to be like, since it was a prototype. I've only got 2 pictures, both from the driver's side. So I am really playing this by ear. Half of what I'm doing I'm taking from the ambulance, since it's the only vehicle that large, roof-wise. But I think that's a pretty good balance. Probably one more splotch of red over here. General rule of thumb for camo is 1/3 for your color, but on Nadoflage it seems like the red-brown is like even less predominant. Minus some stowage, overall, this is more what the end result I want is. Hi, Arnie. And what does my kitty cat want? Huh? Why are you hovering? So let me clean the airbrush. We'll take a quick cat break, and then we'll decide what base color we want to put on the Heinrich suit. Because after this, we're looking at gloss coating the Humvees in preparation for a detail wash and final detailing. before we dull coat it, add the lights, and move on to weathering. So, as I was saying last night on the stream, Panzerart wheels are on the way for this one. They're already installed on this one. And I never did get with Aries on reinstalling the other camera. I know I was forgetting something. But to be honest, I just wanted to get started today. We can do the camera thing later, especially when he's off work and able to think more. Well, from the way it's going so far, I have a feeling this winter here is going to be dry. Dry and cold. We're going to get a lot of stuff from the north, but it's not going to have enough moisture to do anything because nothing's coming up from the Gulf. It's all headed east again. But I am no meteorologist, but I also don't buy into the how dare you hype of the world-ending climate change people either. It's great that, you know, Europe and America and Canada have taxed their people into carbon neutrality. You know, we're producing negative numbers by comparison. None of the third world nations have followed suit. If anything, they've gotten worse. So anything we've done to make a difference has been immediately offset by the increased production in China and India and Pakistan and all these other countries where if you go to Walmart and you see their made-in labels are from there, yeah, that's because the businesses aren't here anymore. So it's great that, you know, we're going green, the rest of the world isn't. And sorry if that sounded like a rant, but it's just the way it feels lately. It's like, you do this or you're a bad person, but we won't hold anybody else accountable. Okay. Arnie, careful. So, I need to decide what I want to do paint job wise on this. I don't have to stick to what's on the cards, but I'm kind of liking this winter. And it gives me something to paint while we wait on the Humvees to dry and I can handle them more. Arnie. You're kind of in the way, boy. Love my cat, but he ain't where it's at. Arnie. Can I, please? Thank you. And I forgot to do the armor plates as well. tubes. I should have thrown everything in here with the nutcracker. It's out here for now. Please stop, Arnie. Okay, looks like we might have to take a cat break because he is just going absolutely apeshit. Hi. Yes, I'm giving you scrubbings and lovings. You better not be up here doing this to say goodbye, because you are 17. Boop. Yes. Now, what else can we do for you? Hmm? What can we do? Hmm? So let me get these treated. Now that they've dried a little bit, maybe you can see the texture it imparted on it. It's not rough like cast texture, but it's not brushstrokey either. Or should I just put it all away and start painting her? Gen X is insane, which I am part of that. I don't know. If you guys want to throw some ideas at me, Google SF3D Heinrich. And if you find an interesting paint job I could emulate, throw it up in chat. You know, throw up a link or something. I know on Twitch links are welcome. I don't know about YouTube, if they work on there or not. Like I said, I'm not using this to so much make it look like cast metal, but just imparting a rougher texture, like paint that's been on there and chipped and used and repainted. Because if you go up to a Sherman or a Tiger, anything with a lot of welded plate metal on it, they're still not smooth. You can see where there's dents in the metal where slag was on it when they were rolling it, things like that. You just skidded the mouse across the table? What? Oh, are you talking about the figure? I've been talking about getting the files for it in a few streams now. Okay. The brush is now clean. I've got no idea what I'm doing with this Heinrich, so if you guys want to take part, Like I said, find some pictures of other ones and see if there's something we could throw together color-wise. It's not going to be a small figure, just a hair over 1/6 scale. And she's wielding 2 MP7s. They'll be suppressed as well. I just have to get those off the printer with the base. The stocks are functional too. I don't want to slide them because I might snap them, but they move. And she's got the goth girl boots. Okay, you're really starting to worry me, bud. What's going on? What's going on, Arnie? We can see your little beans right here. What's up? Bonk. What's the matter, old boy? Ooh, careful. Okay, I'm gonna get you down now. You almost stumbled on me and scratched. There you go. Ow. He wasn't watching where he was stepping. Normally he's pretty good at that. Okay, let me close this. Let me jump on Google real quick and see if I can find some inspiration. Either inspiration or what not to do. Okay, let's not go solid rusty orange color. Check. No, he was stepping this way and fell off the table. It's not even about story, it's just... I just want to do something different that hasn't been done by everybody else. So I'm seeing a lot of either really bright greens and blues, grays, solid oranges, or a lot of World War II German stuff applied to it. Which is kind of a fallacy because everybody... And I thought on it more, right? What was the East German component of Germany called during the Soviet occupation after World War II? The DDR, the Deutsches Democratic Republic, basically. What is the German component of the Machine and Krieger universe called? The SDR. The Strahl Democratic Republic. It's not Germans. It's not World War II in space. It's the Cold War in space. You're looking at a communist Germany come to power in the future. And I'm really surprised none of the other people that are into this series have really mentioned that much, or gone with it as far as like the Soviet schemes. And the Australian component would be basically mercenaries. I know, I'm just trying to get ideas out there because I've seen so much, I don't want to feel like I'm copying somebody. Which is hard to not do these days. Like, I wanted to originally do it in a World War I style trench with this painted like the old German steel helmets, where they'd have the solid patches of color with the black outline around it. It's already been done. So I'm trying to think of something unique and new that I haven't seen. And one thing I haven't seen, believe it or not, is either of these two paint schemes. I've seen that one. It's not very pretty when you look at it in reality. But I haven't seen either of these two. So I might lean in one of those directions. And if anyone was ever wondering how they got the metal springs to stay there's no aliens in this universe. As far as I'm aware, in Machine and Krieger, there's never been a extraterrestrial life form added in. Unless it's something new. But I haven't really followed it that much in the past 12 years. Let me get some different music going here. Seen British SAS sniper camo in German Panzer brown, gray, and black. Just trying to think of something a little bit different. And like I said, looking at other people's work is kind of like seeing what to do and what not to do as well. You know what? Maybe I will just go with the two-tone gray one. It's different enough. Because that looks nautical to me, and this doesn't strike me as a nautical thing. Maybe instead we'll go with a warmer gray for the base, and dark green for the squiggles. I have an idea. If I had the gray. So I need light for one. Gray. Where did my field gray go? Oh, I had a bottle of it. There it is. Sorry. Those might be too close in tone. Let's conduct a test of the emergency idiocy system. Kind of like the scheme that they used to put on the HE-219, but ground-based instead of air-based. Really? Where did that bounce off to? Wow, that brush just got more sky miles than I've ever had. Where the hell'd that go? And it's a bright green brush. How the hell did I lose that? It fell down, hit my cushion, and went boing. Shake this up for a minute while I look for that brush. Let me put the pause screen up. I'm going to take a move around, stretch around break, and I'll be right back. Alright, I've cracked it. Base color, squiggle color, interior color. Get this guy out of the way, get that out of the way. And what are we blaming the cat for now? Hope this paint's still viable. Find out. So far it seems to be working alright. You could blame Allie if she were here. But no, not Arnie. Arnie's too old. He really doesn't understand what he's doing a lot anymore. Oh, my cats are downright assholes from time to time. I'm not gonna lie about that. Tamiya Light Gray XF66. I'm sure it corresponds to some German RLM color. I just couldn't be bothered to find out. I used to have an almost autistically encyclopedic knowledge of that kind of crap. Don't anymore. Turn this because that will get copyright struck, I think. At least if I don't play all of it, they'll allow me to remove it. That one actually got me in trouble on a previous stream. I remember right. I can't glue these on yet because if I do, I won't be able to get the legs on. Oh, it's acrylic. Tamiya makes acrylics, lacquers, and enamels, but they're all based off the same core paint for the most part as far as their pigments and everything. Their acrylics can be thinned with their lacquer thinner. Tamiya's got some weird-ass paints. That's why I like them. They actually dry pretty sturdy. Unless I say otherwise, I'm using acrylics all throughout. I don't have many enamels, I don't have any lacquers, outside of like can spray. My washes and weathering are done via artist oils. I don't use the pigment methods or anything like that. Generally, if it's had the MiG, ammo, or AK brand slapped on it, I don't use it. How's that? You can even thin Tamiya acrylics with Windex. Like this stuff down here on the table. It's dry as a bone, right? That could be 3 years old. 3 years old or 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. Watch this. I use Windex to thin Tamiya acrylics personally. Others will scream about it, not to do it, blah blah blah. I do it. But that was pretty much dry, right? I'm gonna let it sit a bit longer. If my sprayer would cooperate today, Jesus. I can go back over that with water or anything else, it'd be just fine. I hit it with a little Windex, let it sit for a minute, stripped clean. Unless I mix this with something else, which I doubt. Now let's see. Yeah. The gray is gone. But that's what I use. Other people, they'll scream high or low, you know, use this, use that. Maybe it's because I don't look at every project as having to be entered in a contest next week. Turn off the airbrush compressor for a minute while these dry. Come on, hang up. I need to relocate my airbrush hanger someplace better. And we'll get the squiggle color mixed up. Now, should I brush it or airbrush it? Probably airbrush it. I'm not liking this either. Too much guitar lately. I want something that grunts. Sorry. See what this one does. Mixed up more. Yeah, the one time I tried AK paints a few years back, I didn't like them. Flip these over so they can breathe and dry. Yep. No worries, Aries. I'm still going to be a minute. These have more drying to do. Be sure you bring back enough for the rest of us. I gotta shave tonight. I'm looking gray and old. Oh wait, I look old anyway. It's not so much about teaching, right? It's just about hanging out, throwing other ideas out there. I think a lot of the artistry behind model building has been a little bit lost, because it used to be, how can I do this? How can I, you know, how can I bang rocks together to make this work, so to speak? Even Fine Scale Modeler back in the day had a section called Basic Techniques, Advanced Results, where you would use some of the most basic things on your desk, and it would look like so-called professionals at the time did it. Now the market is buy these bottles of miracle fluids to replicate dust, right? Let's replicate dust on a model, but you got to pay $10 for a bottle this big of it. You know, you're paying $10 for a bottle like this, or maybe like this. But then you got to buy the specialized thinner for it. Oh, and the brushes that won't break down when you use it because the material's so caustic. Oh, and you're going to need another bottle of another material to lay down afterwards so it stays on and doesn't wear off after you touch it. You know, there's always one more thing you got to buy. You see all the dust and dirt on this? Let's see if I can get the camera to play nice for just a minute. That's a base of acrylic wash to kind of dirty down the actual paint on the vehicle, right? To kind of stain it. You know what the dust is? Well, I'll wait for you to answer. Just give me a guess. Your best guess on how I achieve the dusty look on this. And I'll wait for you to answer. And being a better modeler is subjective. Better to who? Better to Francois Verlinden, Shep Payne, your neighbor? You know, who is your peer group that you're trying to build better than? Well, dust how? What do you think I used? Did I use pigments? Did I use an AK filter? Did I use an ammo thing? You know, what do you think I did to get that effect? Based on what you see modern modelers using, like everybody that's doing them now, and all the stuff they're going through to do it. Nope, even simpler. Artist oil paints, mixed together and applied in multiple layers. That's it. I think I paid $5 for the whole set of the paints, and I still have it in my drawer. I haven't gone through all of them, and that was 2006. Yeah, it's more about collaborating, because if I'm teaching, I could easily slip into the, oh, only use Tamiya paints, because they are the best. You know, if I'm teaching, you know, you can do this with Vallejo. What you see me doing now, you could do with Vallejo, in terms of the basic paint job. You could do it with anyone's paints once you know how to use them. I prefer Tamiya and Vallejo just because I like how they work together. Like I said, I tried using AK paints, absolute garbage. Said they were acrylic. I tried thinning them with water to brush paint them better, and they clumped up like an enamel. What acrylic does that? No, it turns out you have to buy the specific AK acrylic thinner to use the AK acrylic paints. Sorry, I don't really want to have to rebuy honestly a lifetime's worth of materials just to use a new brand of paint. Been doing this since I was 8 years old, you know? Let's get on to doing the squiggly wigglies. And if somebody else wants to do it a different way, that's fine. If they want to do it their way using the expensive pigments and stuff, they're more than welcome to. But the issue I get is when people say it is the only way you should do it. It's not. Okay, that's turning out kind of cool. I might go back and do some things with the brush just to pull it out a bit tighter. And I use what I have at my disposal too, which is kind of what I learned to use even when I was a teenager. And I went to a model club when I was younger. It was full of the usual rivet counters and, you know, German-centric and stuff like that. All the usual stuff. It hasn't changed in 30 years, alright? The World War II German stuff is king. It always will be. Get used to it. I don't build it because I'm tired of it, but it's going to get the praise everywhere you go. So get that out of the way. But at the same time, the MiG stuff didn't exist, right? So we all had these same, you know, Bob Ross level happy accident techniques that we'd develop. And we'd read about stuff in Fine Scale Modeler and such, and we'd try our own take on it. And then if we had success, we'd show it at the club. If we didn't, we'd show it at the club. We'd show our failures too. We'd show how things screwed up and what we learned, and somebody would say, well, maybe if we try doing it this way, we'll get a different result. And we did. A lot of what I've learned is through trial and error. And I'm not saying embrace the new stuff that's out there and find new ways to use it as well. It's just as suitable a tool as anything else, right? You gotta remember, all these things are tools. They are not the means. Only a poor mechanic blames his tools, but at the same time, having all the best tools in the world doesn't make you a good mechanic. It just means you can do more. You can do hand painting just fine. I can show you a couple things on that on a project. Say when. I think I have something that can actually work for hand painting. Yeah, we'll do some hand painting on the suits that came with the Nutcracker when I get them built. And again, the key to hand painting is also thinning your paint right, allowing it to dry. The more times you pass the brush over the item, the more times that allows you to introduce brush strokes, right? So the fewer brush strokes, the less chance of them showing. Getting your paint thinned out adequately also allows it to lay down properly and gives it more dry time, also eliminating in brush strokes. And I'm getting more tip dry, so I gotta clean the tip again. Again, airbrushing is just a tool. You can brush paint just as well. And it depends on what you're painting as well. If you're doing something like say you're doing a Panzer IV-H, I don't know what you're building. If you like German stuff, cool. Throw on your base coat of your dark yellow. You can brush paint that, you know, if you want. That time in the war, they really didn't give two squits about what the thing looked like, to be honest. Just as long as it was camouflaged. But know your subject as well. Like, if you're doing German armor, you would know that not everything had this perfectly airbrushed, sprayed-on ambush pattern. More often than not, you would have a hastily sprayed-on blotchy pattern, or squiggles, or even it would be applied with a broom or a mop or a large 3-inch wide fence brush. They didn't really give a shit. They painted what they had at the time. I've been to enough museums, I've seen examples of all of it, all over the place. And don't get stuck on perfect colors, as long as it's close enough. You can tone it down, you can desaturate it, you can do a whole bunch of things with like oil paints and washes and stuff like that. Like, I'm sure there's somebody out there, or somebody who might come in the comments, you should have appreciated the thing you're doing right now with black to really accentuate all the panels. I could have. Didn't want to. Didn't feel like it. But the appreciating will give it more dramatic impact. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing with it, so I'm just playing along. I can do something else later if I want to bring that out. You know? Don't let the people that are out there shooting all over the place limit what you want to do with your model. Don't let... It's not so much about leveling up. I still hand paint all the time. And you see, that's part of what I'm getting at. It's all about keeping up with the Joneses, you know. Mr. Jones is all about having the best cars and the best TVs and the plastic surgery on the wife. But how happy is Mr. Jones? I've seen people in my club, right, always using the latest and greatest techniques. They do good work, don't get me wrong. But they're always using the latest and greatest techniques and filling methods and the special glues that are out. And oh, I got this Hobby Boss kit and I bought the resin cockpit for it. I honestly couldn't tell a difference because I didn't know what the original cockpit looked like. Or oh, I'm airbrushing this particular brand of paint and it goes on like this and that. Great. If I ever have the budget, I'll try them out if I come across them, but I haven't seen them. That's what I call the keeping up with the Joneses in the hobby. And that will end your enjoyment of the hobby so quick. I can't caution you enough about getting into that mindset. You have to find what you enjoy in it. The painting is just steps, right? The real question is, are you happy with the outcome? Are you in an apartment? Do you have somebody with like breathing troubles living with you that you can't run the airbrush? If it's ventilation, there is a way around that. I got one of those Amazon airbrush booths. I still have to set it up myself, but I did test it out. And it's awesome. Nothing gets in the house. You turn that vent fan on, run it through the filter, duct it out the window, you're good to go. As long as you keep all your spraying within the confines of the booth, it's not going anywhere. I think mine cost $75. It even came with this, which was mainly to be the light within the booth. But it's a good emergency light. You got flashlight, broad, fluorescent light, orange. It's magnetic, so you can stick it up on things. What's my accent color going to be for this guy? I did yellow and orange on the Grosserhund. What do I have that's weird? Ooh, teal? Emerald? But you also, if you want to get a certain effect on camouflage, have you tried stippling? Say you want the feathered edge. You can do stippling and scrubbing and dry brushing as well. Once it's all sealed under your clear coats, it'll kind of level out. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to rearrange the room to accommodate the spray booth. What I'm thinking might require rotating my desk so this is against the wall and I can have the booth here, and then I'll be able to do something with the remainder. But what are you thinking of brush painting, Haven? Like, if it's figures, you can brush paint all day. You don't need to airbrush them. Even the larger ones. Like, if you see mini painters that do all the zenithal stuff, don't get bought up into that. But I'm going to take another stretch break. My back's kind of tightening up on me. Exactly. So, but let me take a break and I'll come back and we'll address that. So, I'm about to show you something. that I have had. My father put it in safekeeping for the most part while I was out running around the world. And he finally returned it to me a couple years ago once I'd settled down. He knew I wasn't going to be moving very much. I built this when I was 17, based off of pictures from a making of book I had at the time. The internet really wasn't a thing. I just had Crash McCreary's sketches from the film. And yeah, I was 17, brushes. I had an airbrush, but I didn't know how to make it work, you know? I was still learning. This is completely hand painted and blended. There's no airbrush work on this. Using enamels, mind you. This is the old Lindbergh Dilophosaur kit from when Jurassic Park came out. And this went on to win something at the 1993 IPMS Nationals. I forget what. I know it was published in whatever fine scale modeler came out that year to cover that. It's missing the end of its tail. That got broken off somewhere. Yeah, there's no airbrushing done on this. It's all about dry brushing, blending on the surface, and things like that. Making the paints work. 17 years old when I did this. This is 93. Not my best, but not terrible either. Where can I put you for now? You'll live on top of the paints. There. And people always ask me, did you airbrush that? Nope. And I think on this we're going to go with purple for the markings on the arms, because for some reason that's just jumping out purple to me. For the strips. So, how can I do that on this? Maybe strips on the shoulder pads, one on the front, one down the back, offset for the side. Yeah. But I had people even back then asking me if I airbrushed it. And I told them no, I didn't. And even then, they didn't believe me. And that was done using tester's paints. No Tamiya's. There was a shop in Jensen Beach called Island Hobby Shop. And that's what he carried for the most part. Or let's just say it's what I could afford with my my lawn mowing money. How's that? I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just adding a splash of color to the model. I'm being weird. And if you're doing sci-fi, don't be afraid to be weird. Like, I already ran into one person. I put pictures of this up in a Facebook group I frequent. And already their response was, Well, I always fill the joints and the arms up with epoxy putty and resculpt them. And, you know, I just kept quiet. Because, yeah, I know that's a thing. I used to jump on that bandwagon back in the day. And guess what happened when I did that? The model took longer, and I'd start to have that, here we go, here's the extra step, you know, that kind of reaction. When you start having that reaction, it means you're not enjoying it anymore. It means the fun's not there. Because you're not able to just build the model and enjoy it. You're having to do all this extra stuff to make it as neat as everybody else says it needs to be. Right? And I could have just responded, that's nice. Kind of like a passive-aggressive saying, and? So what? You know, you do you. It's your model. But instead I just kept my mouth shut. And if they come back and start shooting on it again, I'll be like, great. You do that to your model. Because, you know, this isn't... it's funny when people see you build Machine & Krieger. They think you've never built it before, right? Unless they know you from way back in the day, they don't put two and two together. And I've been building in this genre for quite some time now. I took a break off of it, but in a moment I will show you one of my older pieces. Testors' paints back in the day were great. They still are if you can find ones that are in viable condition and still usable. You just have to know how to use them. Everybody else out there jumps on, like I said, they jump on this brand name bandwagon, and if you're not using it, then you're not cool. It really is that. And mind you, I'm not the paragon of physical condition. I'll tell you that. I'm a fat ass. I'm 6'1". I got a belly. I'm a fat ass, right? But when I was at the contest, I saw something that really woke me up again, right? You got these people that are devoting this time to the perfection of their craft, which is commendable. But at the same time, I see how they are, and they are one cheeseburger away from an ER visit. They've given up their own health and safety and all that for that, and I'm not about to go that far down that hobby rabbit hole. You know, I want to build. I'm still out. I'm on my feet. I'm active, and I just look at it and say. I even looked at my wife and said, if I get like that, have an intervention, you know, wake me up, do something. Okay. Because it's not healthy. But I also noticed that they all only, you know, they specify in one thing, one criteria, one category, and it's all they do. And I couldn't imagine model building being that boring for me. But I wanted to show you some of my other stuff that I've done years and years and years ago. While the purple dries before we start doing some chipping. Okay, be right back. Yeah, Alex, do not stay up that late if you have work in the morning, please. Don't, yeah, don't get yourself in trouble. Yeah. I've got to repair this. One of the cats got on the table. But this is the Hasegawa Folk. One of the original issues of it. But I made a landing base for it, and yeah, I knew there was like this maintenance carrier and all this for it, which they're making a kit of now. It's a little dusty. But this is one of the Brickworks figures. Tamiya Racing Team, and this is the pilot that came with it. But yeah. Gave it kind of an Italian, North Africa, P-40 Warhawk style paint scheme. Battered the hell out of it. It had some engine trouble, so I cut it open, made some gimmicky looking interior stuff, right? Used some Warhammer parts, made a bulkhead. And there's the base. Really simple stuff. But there's just so many other people out there that would want to tell you, do it by the book, the way it was shown in the book originally 50 years ago. It's like, I can do whatever the hell I want. And then here's a little croat that I did. I think I repainted this on stream about a year ago, year and a half. I've got a couple other models, but I am not new to machining Krieger by any means. Put these back on the shelf and I'll be right back. Well, part of it was the brushwork, part of it was just how crude the basic figures are too. The Brickworks one is great, but the other humans in the group were a bit nasty. Okay, let's get the legs on. I feel like I'm at a point where I can actually get this guy assembled with his skirts in place. Well, it's been re-released by Wave or Hasegawa, whoever has the molds for it, and Plamax is doing a 35th scale run of it. Hey Kenny, welcome to the channel. And it just really pains me when I just browsing YouTube looking for something new, right? Someone new to watch, maybe get an idea or two from. And it just boils down into more of the do it my way crowd, or you're doing it wrong. And I see that, and then I immediately turn it off. And I know you all know somebody who does that. Oh, 1/20th is the scale for machining Krieger. I do like that they're trying to do more in 35th scale, because it can go better with other detail sets out there, since 1/20th is very odd. I believe at the time it was bigger in Japan because all the F1 stuff was coming out with it, and there was just really a ton of 20th scale figures on the market, which allowed for really good sizes and more intimate settings. Okay, I need pliers. I should have done this before I put the top half together, shouldn't I? I forgot about this part of this figure. So we're going to have some natural scratches in the paintwork too. Okay, need to bend that up a hair bit more. That behind the leg there. Drape it down that way. That way that can fit there. Okay. And these hoses will be getting painted too. They're just not the primary point of today. Oh, gotcha. Lacquers are good, but honestly, acrylics have come a long ass way in the more recent years. A lot of people like lacquers because they're quick drying. But the other issue is, since they're solvent-based, especially if you brush other lacquers over them, you can reactivate them if you're not careful, causing the paint underneath to lift and tear and mix in, which thereby would ruin your finish. I know sometimes that effect is wanted in Machine and Krieger especially, but not always. Really? That just came apart. Honestly, there's a lot of people who are angry at the TV lately. Not so much because it's the TV, but because of who's been put on it. As long as it's able to pull the air faster than you're blowing it out and get it outside or into, like he said, a filter box, you won't smell a darn thing. You have to retouch that paint. Wonderful. Actually, no. That'll go away when I dull coat it and clear coat it and all that. I'm not worried about that. I know the camouflage isn't too distinct on this. I might have to just go back and brush to it. We'll see. I really am just playing all this by ear. This is an impulse buy at the contest, along with the Nutcracker. The main reason for doing these is I wanted to see if I could do this again and not get inundated with everybody. Well, this is how you should do it because this is the way so-and-so does it. Coming out of the woodwork, and a lot of that happened back in the day. So I just want to build the tiny little space robots. And I know I said it last night, but it stands out even more now. Games Workshop ripped the Microman legs off to do their Space Marine figures. I'm sure of it. Damn it. Because I enjoy doing them. Kind of like German armor, I don't enjoy the people that surround it sometimes. I'm gonna chip it up and fade it a little bit. I've got a lighter blue-violet to put on it as a highlight and other things. If I can get this fucking seam to behave. This is the same one that fought me on the initial install, too. I have no accelerator, but I don't want to use it on this ancient Nitto plastic because I found out that Nitto plastic doesn't really like accelerator that much and it'll actually shatter. Brushing a little water on, see if that helps the super glue kick. It can in some situations. I think there's a couple diagrams online for building airbrush booths out of things like that. For mine, for me to use it, all I've got to do is find a convenient place to put it where I can get it to vent out the window. So that, which would take some reorganizing of the hobby space. Yeah, I always say the F word. It's not in the first 5 minutes of the video anymore. Oops. I can say it all I want. Fuck, fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. See? Or did I make the algorithm angry with that? Going in with Tamiya RLM Gray, which I guess is supposed to replicate RLM 02 Gray used in World War II. How are things going in Old Blighty, Kenny? I miss that place. I want to move back. The wife doesn't. And then again, from what I've seen on the news, I really don't want to go. Got this neat little control panel here. I don't recall there being a decal for it. There isn't. So I'm going to have to think of a couple of icons to put on it, display-wise. And because this is based on a Hughes 500 helicopter, the bottom of it is open to the hips, so I'm going to probably paint the tops of this a darker gray color. Just so it doesn't stand out as badly when you look down inside. also called Vallejo German Gray, which is almost black, which means it's not 66. Still want to paint the cushions and the headrest a different color. Once this guy's in. Yep, that hides down in there very nicely. Let's bring the light gray back out. Chipping up the purple a little bit. I should probably, actually, before I do that, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get the blue-violet out. Makes it 50-50 with this. Or as close as we can get. Create a slightly lighter layer. Most of the excess off. You can re-chip that easy. I'm not going to go all the way down, we're going to just catch the center of that. You see how it's starting to pop it a bit brighter. This will be that arm. Okay. This side's up on this arm. I think something went weird with this blue-violet because it should be a lot brighter. So we're going to clean this off. And the nasty German gray with it. try again. That did start to do what I wanted it to, but this needs to be mixed up a lot more, I think. There we go. Now we're just going to go in neat with the blue-violet now. Yeah, see how much brighter that is? Actually, we may have to take that down just a hair. A little too bright. There we are. Just on the upper halves of the purple strips. And if I did this right, it should just look more naturally blended and not too bad. A lot of it will be hidden once I get into the chipping and other processes. Let's knock that down a hair bit more. Starting to do it. I know someone out there is probably saying, what the hell are you doing? It'll make sense. I hope it makes sense. Kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. Yep, that did it. Alright. Let's get back to where I was before with the chipping. Hope everybody had a good weekend, though. This is essentially my Sunday. Doesn't feel like it should be 2:30 in the afternoon already, but it is. Just doing a little light chipping with the brush. There's going to be more done on the rest of the body too. Just trying to get the purple chipped up. See if I need to reduce it more. See how I want to play around with that. because it is a bit overpowering, but I want to knock it down. It's gotten to be a bit much. I was going to sponge chip this, but I can't find my sponges. I'll have to go get more. Probably wouldn't do to have that though. It would start to break up the whole look of it. I'm going to be carrying a red-brown color over to the interior. Basically this, for the pads. And then you're also going to have the flesh tone of the pilot coming into play as well. There's going to be other things kind of breaking it up. I think having an orange kneecap would make it a bit too, like, I don't know, just field repaired kind of looking. And that doesn't feel like the overall thing I want to go for in it. No, Halloweenish is the Grosser Hund with candy corn stripes and pumpkin decals and black cats. He thinks I'm joking. That's Halloweenish. Still a lot more detailing to do on that before I get into chipping it up. Actually, I should probably... No, I don't want to give it a gloss coat yet. I do want to get the base color on the cushions inside, though. Excuse me. Yeah, if I added orange to this, it would be very Halloweenish. But I think the idea of the orange kneecap, at least in this instance, would be too haphazard. If I was going for a more beat-up look, where it had a variety of damage and something that felt more for a necessity of a mismatch of parts, then sure. But this one I'm trying to keep, you know, worn but more grounded. As I paint on it, the ideas come to me. How's that? Because it's out there. But I am also getting hungry. I think after I paint the upright for the viewing sensors, binoculars, whatever you want to call these up here, I am going to break for lunch. Get something to eat. Alex's need to get something and go to bed, or else they will be dragging at work tomorrow. And I don't want that on my conscience. Especially if they're too tired while commuting and get into an accident on the way to work. Then I'd feel terrible. Go. One more thing to add before I wrap this up. Some Ma.K chrome on the pistons. I still don't know what kind of display base. I'd like something with a raven in it, because the way the figure's standing, he's kind of looking up. So maybe if I could find a way to make an old rotted out tree or signpost and have a raven perched on it like he's looking at it. It is still kind of Halloweenish, and I'll go with it because it is that time of year. I just don't want it to be as overt as the other one. Sometimes Ma.K you gotta put a few layers on and let it fully settle before the chrome starts showing. But that shows well enough. With that being said, I think I'll go for the day. Get myself some lunch. The sandwich is in order, I think. Maybe some tomato soup. I don't know. You'd think for being October it would be a lot cooler. It's still almost in the 80s here, which it's not unusual, but it's still a bit warm. Makes me wonder what this winter's really gonna do. It'll either be dry or an absolute horror blizzard. But thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and hopefully I'll see you later. My next stream, depending on how I feel after I get off work, might be either tomorrow or Thursday. Wednesday and Friday I work till 8, then I gotta turn around and be back in early, so I won't have time on those days. But next stream probably either tomorrow or Thursday, maybe even Saturday. We'll see. But I'll see you then, and have a good day.